Hi there, my name is Whitney Smith. I'm the founder and CEO here at the Smith Investigation Agency, and today I'm here to give you some 2025 cheating/infidelity statistics. This is a very common situation, obviously, infidelity that takes place, whether it's emotional affairs or, potentially a physical affair, and you're hiring a private investigator to go out and see what's taking place. So we're gonna kind of do this a little different. We have a blog. We're going to attach the blog here in the description of this so that you can ultimately go and read that and get a little bit more information. But I'm gonna do something a little different here. I found some recent statistics online, so I kind of want to go through those statistics with you. So this is on reddit.com. We'll include that link in the description below so that you can see this. So I'm going to go through this kind of step by step with you because I think this is important, even just for us to understand as investigators where people might get their information, and then compare that to the knowledge that we have from the infidelity investigations that we've completed. First one, under that main cheating statistics, it says the percentage of men and women in 2017 who cheated on their partners was 20% and 13%. So at that basically was saying 20% of men were cheating and 13% of women. So obviously that's from 2017. During COVID, there was a lot of infidelity taking place. You had people who were stuck at home. They were just trying to have, whether it was an emotional affair or again, a physical affair, it was very, very common during COVID. And a lot of them have, still continued to have that type of behavior post-COVID. I would say for us here, at least at the Smith Investigation Agency, it's 50-50. I do not see more men or more women being the subject of an investigation. We generally see that it is very even. Now, that doesn't mean that every single person is actually having an affair, right? A husband might call and thinks his wife is cheating, and maybe he has a gut feeling, and ultimately maybe she is, but just wasn't on the times that we did surveillance. But it also might mean that she's not. So the next one they say is there's been an increase in the rate of women infidelity since 1990 by 40%. I would definitely say, I've been in this industry for 20 years. I would say that I've certainly seen that more on the rise. Now, I don't know if that's because women are potentially better at hiding affairs. So maybe their husbands aren't paying attention and they don't know that that's taking place. I don't really know why, but I can say now that we're seeing a 50-50 where, when I first started in the industry, most of the surveillance cases that I was working on was a potential cheating husband or a boyfriend, something like that. 16% of married couples admitted to being unfaithful at some point or another in their marriage. So this is actually quite an interesting one. We've had people that call us and say, hey, I believe that my spouse is cheating. I'm having an affair, so they must be having an affair as well, it kind of just throws you. You're like, wait, what? Do you have anything to substantiate this? No, but they feel guilty. So ultimately they want to then find out if their spouse is, so it eases their guilt for what they've done. 30% of individuals started cheating on their spouse with someone at work. So this is very common, especially where people work in very close, tight-knit kind of scenarios where they work maybe 8, 10, 12-hour shifts directly with maybe one or two other people or one person, whether that's, sometimes in law enforcement, unfortunately, you can see that taking place. It can be common. They're spending a lot of time with that individual, within factory settings, manufacturing, whatever that looks like. It can be very, very common. Ultimately, individuals are spending, again, 8, 10, 12 hours at work. So they're potentially getting more of an emotional investment, and maybe some of those needs that they feel need to be met are happening in that workplace. I would say probably 75% at least, if not a little bit more, of the infidelity investigations that we complete, there is some sort of a tie with someone in a workplace, or potentially somebody who's a boss, like maybe the head boss or the owner of the company who has flexibility, and maybe they're messing with somebody within the workplace or possibly outside of it. But yeah, it's a high statistic for sure. According to research, 57% of marriages ended in divorce due to infidelity. Now, I don't know where they're getting that specific statistic from, and ultimately we don't always find out with the investigations that we complete. If we find infidelity, they don't always tell us whether they divorced or didn't divorce, and ultimately that's none of our business. Some clients do call us and update us, and that's fine, but we don't always know that information. But I have had many clients who we've caught their subject, literal pants down situations, and they just said, thanks for the information. It's too expensive to divorce, but I just wanted to know. 88% of ladies put more emphasis on emotional affairs over physical affairs. There's definitely a lot that, with online dating now, it's so common for people to be having relationships and they don't know who they're talking to. It's probably a scammer in some other country, but they think they're in love with, the individual on the other side of the phone. So definitely, I think a lot of women are more hurt and affected by the emotional affair, and that's the harder one for us to determine, right? Because if somebody has an app or their phone that's private and they have an expectation to privacy. So we can't hack into their phones or devices or accounts. So, ultimately, I think the biggest thing for some people in that situation is, if we physically go out and do surveillance and we find that infidelity is taking place, you have a picture or a video of that, potential sexual activity or kissing, hand holding, whatever that is. Where if it's something online, you might not ever be able to see that information in those text messages or maybe some FaceTime calls or WhatsApp calls or what took place. So I think that feels harder because they just don't know the full details of the truth, where surveillance, they're ultimately seeing the full picture and what's taking place. So next thing, the percentage of men and women facing emotional affairs was 45% and 35%. So yeah, again, at least for our side, for people that call us, I would say that that's very 50-50. Now, not everybody's going forward with, an investigative service. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they can't take money out that their spouse won't notice, whatever that is. But I would say, at least in the inquiries and the consultations that we have, it's pretty 50-50 split. 60% of all emotional affairs start in a work environment. That was actually something else written here above. But again, I would say that I agree that is very common. They're spending that time in that workplace all the time. They're building that relationship, that deep potential bond. If something's happening and they feel stressed out, maybe you and your spouse got in a fight in the morning. Well, when they go to work, who's the person who consoles them, right? Breeding ground for sure for potential infidelity to take place. 77% of men confessed to engaging in some form of emotional affair, while women accounted for 91%. Yeah, who knows again where these statistics come from, but there's definitely a lot of emotional affairs taking place, again, whether that's within a workplace, that's confiding in somebody that they met online or, have been talking to in some sort of chat, software or dating app, something like that. So if you're looking to, learn about more on infidelity investigations and ultimately see if there is an affair taking place and you want to know whether your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the situation is, or maybe it's a family member, maybe you think it's, your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law and you want to ultimately know what's going on, you can give us a call for a free consultation here at the Smith Investigation Agency.